Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Welcome everyone to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. I am your host, M. Teresa Lawrence, here on KCAA Broadcasting Network, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, where we cover over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles. And we are also affiliated with CNBC, NBC, and NBC Sports. You can listen to us every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time on any of your favorite podcast and streaming channels. We are also on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Android app. Just remember, subscribe to Building Solid Foundations channel. Hello everyone, I'm M. Teresa Lawrence, your host. I am an author, international speaker, and coach. I am also the president and executive foundation of the Trueness Project, a nonprofit dedicated to helping children and adults remember what it is like to dream and to tell stories, because stories have power. And it is my dream to help the world share their truth, share their authenticity, especially through storytelling. It is when we share our stories, we empower each other. We give ourselves permission to learn from each other and to weave together a tapestry of a better world. And so I hope you join me on my quest to uplift the planet, where we have a really special guest. My guest today is Mark Foster. Mark Foster is a Native American spiritual advisor. He grew up in San Pasqual Indian Reservation in Southern California. He has experienced a life of challenges, including spending 13 years in prison for an involvement in using and selling drugs in the 1990s. It was a time that the meth epidemic was sweeping across the country and San Diego. While in prison, Mark went deep into self-reflection, studied the history of his native people, and participated in a sweat lodge. Mark has been sober for 26 years and believes that it is due to his ability to be in a sweat lodge on a regular basis. Mark's goal and purpose is to get natives into recovery and help them find a way to get sober through sweat lodge or Sundance. He presently lives in Escondido and works at Transition Wellness, an organization dedicated to helping Native Americans to recover from substance abuse and drinking. Welcome, Mark Foster.
Hi, Teresa. Welcome. Thank you for letting me come to your show. It's like pretty amazing to see you, and I'm just so thankful to be here and to meet you.
I told you I was so excited to interview you. You have the coolest, most inspirational story. So I want to start from the beginning, because it is, you were very upfront with me when we were talking, because I met Mark on a plane. Let's be honest. I met him on a plane and I was like, this guy's cool, right? Right? And we started talking, and you, spiritually, you're vibrating at such a high level. And your story is one of real struggle, and you were really honest with what you were doing. Talk to me about moving to California and living on the reservation, and what happened with the meth, and how the beginning. What did I call the beginning? I said the struggle.
The struggle's real. Yeah, 1983, 84, 85. That was San Diego, North County was the meth capital of the world. There was so much devastation. It was I think it exploded here on the West Coast, right here where we're at this Lexus dealership and everything right here in Escondido, California. There was such a big influx of people cooking dope, doing dope, just tearing up families. And me personally, as a kid up till 13 years old, we would go to Kid Carson Park right down the road, and we would have giant family reunions. There'd be 6, 7 generations of families and kids and everybody running around. And I think the last time our family had that was probably 1982. And then after that, that meth hit, family reunion stopped. And at that time I was living in Escondido, but our family moved up to the reservation, like San Pasqual Indian Reservation. And, we lived up there for 2 or 3 years, like with no power, no water. Like we had a generator and we had like a big water tank. We'd go down to the tribal hall, we'd fill it up in like a waterbed mattress and go up to the hill and pump it into the tank, and then we'd pressurize it with like an air compressor, and that's how we had like running water inside the trailer for years. But like that struggle was okay because like we were all trying to live together, you know what I mean? A few years later, then all of a sudden the meth hit, and then with that meth, like you saw the heroin that was inside the community already, and it was like a long time ago, back, shoot, like in the early 80s. Like that heroin was there, the alcoholism was there, but a lot of families were still functioning to a degree. But when that meth came, it just blew everything apart. It was insane. Like within a matter of 3 years, my life went from playing baseball, just right over here, man, like just right over there at Del Dios High School. That's where like the Pony League was, Pony Avocado League, I remember playing over there and just having a great life, but then we moved to the reservation within a couple of years. That transition into that pain and suffering and that dark world, man, it happens quick. So it was a quick transition, like from normal life to a good life. But by the time I hit 15, 16 years old, man, hanging out with these dudes, we were cooking dope, stealing stuff, and my life just got obliterated. It's just insanity.
And it was because of the meth. It hit the entire reservation.
San Pasqual alone, there was like 3 or 4 people just cooking dope up there on the reservation. And like some of the names, like everybody would know, like Danny, old guy Danny, George, just a lot of those names that are there. And a lot of people that on the reservation that were cooking back then that were like family, like Lawrence, Philip, like the Satalos, man, like those guys, that whole family died. Whole family like just got wiped off the reservation because of the drug use, and
So
it happens.
Tell the audience how you got arrested. What happened?
God, my life turned really bad because like in that meth life, I got accustomed to it. And then from that meth, like it wasn't just the meth and doing dope, it was crime. It was all that other stuff that came along with it. And just, not every cook has the same supply of chemicals and all that stuff. And so when that stuff runs out, all of a sudden it's like, crime's the next best thing, bank robbery, armed robbery, felony DUIs, all those things kind of came up. And I did my first stint in California Youth Authority. I went from there to state prison, and then from there to the feds, like to finish off that bank robbery time. So like from the age 18 to 23, I was in prison. I didn't have a gun or nothing like that. So minimum on that first charge going through was 5 years.
So for the people that are listening, this is what meth does to a young man who has promise, and to a whole community it devastated. So
the thing about, we can all have promise, we can all have like a destiny, right? But if we don't have the role models that are out there fighting for the kids, we don't have the role models that are out there fighting for the other side, like that darkness, everybody wanted to live in that darkness. Everybody was like, the people that I was hanging out with, they had what was called back in there, and then in the day, B numbers and C numbers. Those are like early California state prison numbers. Those guys were all out here and they already had 5, 6, 7 years in prison. So they were running that thug life, that gangster life. And
they were comfortable in it?
Man, they thrived in that role, They thrived in that role, man. And like young kids are going to try to live up to the next person above them, And unless you have the right role models, like for baseball, for softball, for whatever, like people doing the right thing in the community, like the next thing a kid's gonna look up to is like that rough, tumble guy. And it just so happens to be those guys seem to be like thugged out gangster type people. And so I didn't have the right role models to around me at the time. And so like, that's why today I'm trying to be a role model. Like everybody sees me doing the same thing, doing ceremony, doing this, working on cars, doing normal man stuff. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to act all cool and living that other way,
So, we're almost done with this segment, but if you had wisdom to share with your younger self, what would that be?
My wisdom to my younger self would be pay attention to my dad more, because the dude showed up every day. He worked every day. He had a craft and a trade, and he kept it simple, and he was a good-hearted man, And I overlooked that, and probably the biggest mistake of my life, for real. So yeah, I would look in the family and try to find the right role model. And I had the right role model. I was just blind at the time.
So when we come back, I want you to talk about prison and the process of, I call that section redemption.
Okay, we could do that. I'll be glad to.
So, okay, it's time for a break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.